drive. We'll just drive here. I got a story that happened to me when I was young. When I was about 5 or 6 years old. It's winter time outside. There was some snow on. This is back in the early 80s, mid 80s. There was a couple feet, maybe a foot of snow. Snow seems deeper when you're young. You don't have, it just seemed like it snowed a lot more back in the 80s and 90s than it does now here in eastern Kentucky. Anyway, we live in a really rural part, wild part of eastern Kentucky. It's not in the mountains. It's not like Pikeville or severe East Kentucky. This is more, like a, I don't know, 7/10 away across the eastward, 8/10. Anyway, it's a band, Daniel Boone National Forest band that runs up through. It's dark green, runs up through Kentucky and Ohio. I came in one time. We were watching Jeopardy. I don't know if you guys remember how it was back in the 80s. We was watching Jeopardy. We had 3 channels, 3, 13, maybe just 2 channels. Channel 3 and Channel 13. Channel 3 had all the shows on it. Jeopardy and Unsolved Mysteries, Murder, She Wrote. If you're my age, you remember that stuff if you're from around here. We had old 4 model TV, and we was watching Jeopardy, and it was time to go to bed, and I went to bed, and it was late, it was dark. Our house backed up to there's a couple, 3 miles of nothing but wilderness behind the house. 3 miles wide and about 6 miles long. No homes or anything in there, just all woods, all timber. I opened my bedroom door. There's a window directly as you open the door. I've told a lot of people these stories, and everybody thinks they take my word. They know I'm honest, but when I tell them these stories, they're just like, yeah, right, you're dumb. You know how people are. I'm like, whatever. I'm telling you. Here lately, I'm like, just ran over a squirrel, man. Stupid squirrel. It breaks my heart. Anyway, I hate running over animals. You'd think an animal would, by now, and a squirrel lives beside the road. That squirrel was probably 3 years old, 2 or 3 years old. For 3 years, that squirrel has been seeing vehicles run up and down this road. I guarantee it, if there was coyotes or hawks, bald eagles flying up and down this highway here every 5 seconds, that a squirrel wouldn't go near the highway. I guarantee it. But for some reason, and deer's the same way, and all the other animals, for some reason, cars aren't seen as predators. They haven't really put 2 and 2 together that, if a deer sees a cheetah coming, they take off, right? Well, if a deer sees a car coming, 80% of the time they'll stand in the road and just stand there, and you try to stop, you turn right and they jump right. So I don't understand the evolution there that they call Darwin's evolution, because if that's true, all the animals are going to die eventually because they're all really stupid. Anyway, my story. I opened my bedroom door and it's cold outside, snowing. Directly as I open the door, I see 2 red eyes. I perceived them to be eyes. They were apart like eyes, and they were looking through the window at me. My room, there was no lights on in the room, and I was 5 or 6 years old. I wasn't very old, so it scared the life out of me. Like, I was I remember opening that door and seeing this, and I could barely, I only looked for like 2 seconds before I took off. But I could see that there was something there, not just the red eye, like the red eye shine or red eyes. There was something on the other side of the window, and my window wasn't very high. This is not like a 10-foot tall Bigfoot story. This window was, I don't know, maybe 4 feet where the eyes was about 4 feet off the ground. So if it was a tall thing, it would have been scrunched down looking through my window. If it was If it was a short thing, it would have been, you know, just kind of leaning up against the window. But I definitely saw something behind the window that kind of, the eyes were kind of like, they were big. So I perceived it to be big because the eyes were big enough. You know, they were bigger than my dad's eyes. They were bigger than that, and they were further apart. So I perceived it to be a pretty good size thing. So I go tell my mom what's going on. She didn't believe me. She was still watching Jeopardy. And I ended up sleeping with them that night, sleeping in their room. And the next day I got up. I told my dad about it. Dad never said much about it. But the next morning I was excited to get up when the sun came up. I went outside because there was snow on. And at 5 or 6 years old, I knew there'd be tracks because I lived in, you know, I know how it is out here. There's tracks. If there's something there, there's tracks if it's snowing. Well, I went outside and sure enough, there was tracks. But I couldn't make out. I remember all this pretty clearly. I mean, you couldn't see a track because it looked kind of like it was kind of muddy, kind of like a cattle path is in the wintertime when all the cows walk in the line. And they make a path through the snow. It was still snowy and icy, but it had mud on it, so I couldn't. And I was just a kid. I didn't follow it very far, but it came it came from the road and came up through the field. Kind of, my driveway made an L shape. It's about a half a mile long. It shortcut the driveway. It didn't walk all the way up to the 90-degree corner and then come all the way down to the house. It shortcut the path. You could see that from where I was at on the hill, and it went right up past my window and up through the woods. When it got in the woods, it kind of dissipated a little bit because it's harder to track stuff through the woods, but definitely through the yard there was a path where several, if there was one thing, then it walked the path from the road to the woods several times. If there was more than one thing, just one of them was looking through the window, then you know, there was more than one, and they just walked in a line like anybody else would. Hang on now. Spitting. Now I got another story. When I was about 12 or 13 in the same house, my parents built a house down at the road, and we were camping out, me and my sister and her friend from school. They were older than me, so I went with them. I was about 12 or 13 and they were about 15, 16, something like that. And I had a dog, a little mutt dog. He was just the average size, normal dog. I chew tobacco, so I would tell anybody never chew tobacco. It's disgusting. Anyway, that night came, we all went to sleep. My dog was outside on the porch, and we were sleep. You know, we weren't drinking. We weren't like trying to get drunk. We weren't drinking or partying or nothing like that. We were just kids, so we was just camping out. It'd be cool to camp out by ourselves. Our parents was about half a mile away in the new house. We were in the old house up against the hillside, up on the hill. And anyway, we all go to sleep. My sister's in the bedroom toward where I saw the red eyes several years earlier. My sister's friend was in the living room with me, and she was on the couch next to the front door, and I was on the couch opposite the front door with a window above it. And my dog was on the front porch. So we all lay down and go to sleep. And I wasn't asleep long. I lay there and everybody's asleep. And I wake up to my dog licking my cheek. I'm laying on the couch and it's licking this side. It's licking my face. And I wake up and I'm like, what the heck, you know? So I get up. Remember, I'm like 12 or 13. I'm like, man, how'd you get in the house? You know, all the doors were shut. And we made sure because the dogs don't come in the house where I live. We keep the dogs outside. So I was really puzzled at how this dog got in the house, and so I get up, the lights are off, and I'm just kind of wandering through the house, looking around. The doors was shut. There was 3 doors in this house. One past my sister in that back bedroom where I saw the red eyes years earlier. 2 doors in the front, one in the living room and one down by the bathroom. Everything was shut, so I was like, man, I don't know how you got in the house, dog. I petted it, whatever. He wasn't alerting to anything, and I put him back outside. Never thought much of it. I lay back down on the couch and I go back to sleep. And in my mind, I wasn't asleep very long, maybe a half hour. I don't really know. It wasn't very long. This all started about 11 o'clock at night when we all laid down to go to sleep. And same thing, go to sleep. Get woken up by my dog nudging my face, licking, and I'm like, I wake up, I'm like, what in the world? I'm like, Puppy, how you getting in here? I think his name was Puppy, but he was fully grown. It's like, how you getting in this house? This dog is smart, he's a magician or something. So in my mind, I'm thinking there must be a hole in the floor, or because it was an old house. Hole in it's like a single wide trailer with rooms built on it, that kind of thing. So I go through the house this time. I didn't turn the lights on because I wasn't afraid. I just thought my dog the doors wasn't shutting all the way or something like that. You just kind of rationalize everything. My sister was asleep. She was dead asleep. My sister's friend was dead asleep. I woke him up whenever I started walking through the house. And I had my dog with me walking through the house because I thought, well, maybe, I was just trying to figure out how he was getting in the house. So, couldn't figure it out. I sat out on the porch with him for a minute and I was petting him and I was like, dang, man, how are you getting in this house? You are a genius dog. If you can open doors, that's what I kind of thought. I thought, well, he's opening the door. But the doors were shut. Every time he was in the house, the doors were shut. So, really strange that time. Well, I didn't. I just let it go and went back to sleep. Put the dog outside on the porch. I made sure all the doors were shut. My sister and my sister's friend back to sleep. And I was laying on the couch, and not long after I went back to sleep, the dog was on the porch. This time, the dog wakes me up. I'm on the couch, and he jumps on my chest. That's what woke me up, is the weight of the dog falling on my chest, and he was growling and snarling and slobbering, dripping on me, and his face was near my face. Remember, it's dark, so I can't see. And I freaked out because I thought I didn't know if it was my dog actually, or I didn't know what was going on. I kind of thought it was my dog, sounded like it, and his toenails was actually kind of cutting into my chest, and he was out of shape. I mean, this guy, he was ready to fight. And so I leap up quickly on the, to the sitting position, and I throw him in the floor. I thought, man, he's went nuts. This thing's got rabies or something. Throw him into the floor, and his slobber's on my face. Like, his face was like just right above mine. And when he hits the floor, he just stays squared up the same way he was, except he's looking past me now, and I'm in a sitting position, and he's looking toward the bedroom where my sister is. And he's still snarling and growling, and everybody's, well, I kind of turned my head just to look that way, because I thought, okay, well, something's in, there's something going on. And I caught a glimpse of, I'm getting cold chills right now. I caught a glimpse of, because it was dark in there, of a foreleg, like the front leg of something, like didn't have any clothes on. It was like a bare leg I saw a bare front leg. It was kind of long and not muscular, but not like a bodybuilder type leg. Anyway, when I saw it, it was kind of like just a long, dark looking leg with no clothes on, like a naked leg sticking out of the shadow in the doorway. And when I saw it, as soon as I kept, I was turning right on around, but I saw it, and I turned, and I heard something run through the house, and it was loud, boom, 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 the steps. It was like 4 boom, 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 out the back door. The back door slammed open or shut. Probably shut. I can't remember now. But anyway, it slammed, bang, and it went outside. And this is the even weirder part. My dog is still trained on that thing. When it takes off, it didn't take off after it. Now, mind you, it's in the doorway where my sister was sleeping. It didn't take off after it. It jumps on the couch and out the window that was closed every time. I mean, it was definitely closed. It was closed. Well, now it's open, okay? The window's open, and the dog jumps out the window, which, I mean, dogs don't jump. I mean, that's a really weird thing for this dog to jump out this window off the couch and takes after this thing. And I hear that he caught it up in the brush, like the woods are about 50 yards from the house, and I'm listening, and Misty's waking up, my sister, and her friend's kind of waking up, and it woke them up, but they wasn't awake when all this was going on. It's just kind of, they was coming out of their sleep, I guess. And I heard the dog catch up with whatever it was, and they went around in the brush there for a minute, and then I heard my dog, I couldn't hear the thing, whatever it was, person, animal, I don't know, takes off, and I hear my dog barking. You know how you hear a coon dog, you know, going after something. Well, the dog goes out of hearing range, like you can hear a long ways in those hollers. I listened. Misty was like, "What's going on?" And they was asking me what was going on, and I hear the dog go out of hearing range. You know, so I'm like, what is going on? You know, I didn't even know what was going on. So the window was open above my couch, which is really creepy, and my dog got in the house 3 times with me shutting all the doors, so that's really creepy. So later on, of course, the dog came back the next day. I think it was the next day, and his feet were kind of, I checked him out, he wasn't hurt, he didn't get bit or anything like that, or hit, but his feet was kind of roughed up and bleeding where he ran a long way, so evidently he didn't catch whatever it was. But a person can't outrun a dog through the woods. You can forget that idea. It couldn't have been a person. There's no way. I mean, there's no way. A person can't outrun a dog up a mountainside, or these are not mountains, they're like half mountains. This is the same kind of hills. See those hills right there? That's the same kind that I got at my house. They're about 400 feet tall, and they're pretty darn steep. And the dog goes out of hearing range in no time. Like, it didn't take no time. These people, he was running wide open, so whatever it was he was chasing was running wide open. And so later on, I began to think, was this thing in the house the whole time? Or did it come in the house twice, 3 times, leave the door open, and the dog comes in? The dog didn't even know he was in there. The dog didn't know the first 2 times that anything was going on. And why was the window open above my couch? Like, did this thing, I don't know. If you guys got any ideas, I mean, that's just weird, man. It's just weird. But anyway, that's really weird stories that happened to me, and I got some more out here in eastern Kentucky that I'll tell you about in another video. This one's too long. Subscribe to my channel. Have a nice day.